this is laying the groundwork to support all of those people who have absolutely no idea where to start to take care of their loved ones. For me personally, it was incredibly challenging, especially for me. I was living in Barbados at the time and my mom was in Toronto, and it was incredibly difficult to have some consistency and continuity. I don't really know quite yet, because we're so new, how this is going to grow and scale. I'm really driven by purpose in this venture and really sort of helping people.
Good morning. Welcome back. Kent Bain with 9 Business Group and Elevate Your Business Spotlight interview. We have Lori McIntosh today. Lori is a serial entrepreneur, but more importantly, we're going to let Lori introduce herself and the company she wants to focus on. So Lori, introduce yourself, your company name, and more importantly, what you're focusing, why, and what makes you different, what sets you apart in that space.
Well, thank you for having me first and foremost. It's great to finally meet you. I've heard a lot about you. So yes, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have built 4 companies in my career, and I've been an entrepreneur since I was 27 years old. And so that was a very long time ago. And I'm passionate about entrepreneurship, particularly in Canada right now. And so I've recently launched, or I'm about to launch rather, a new company called Rose, that's going to help people through the navigation process of taking care of their elderly parents. I personally just went through this experience for the last 6 years, and more intensely in the last 2. My mom is now in a home, thank goodness, safe and happy. But the journey to get there is something that we should not have to go through as Canadians. And so because I am able to advocate for myself, and I had a lot of support, and I knew sort of where to go to get that, I also met a lot of people that don't know how to do that, and they didn't know where to go. And so this is laying the groundwork to support all of those people who have absolutely no idea where to start to take care of their loved ones.
So what does that mean? Can you give us a little more details to what that means? I mean, my mother-in-law, we were successful in finding her home pretty much straight away for similar conditions and reasons, but it sounds like you had a different experience. So what problems did you encounter when you first, that kind of gave you some insight that there was more of a systemic issue than what you thought existed prior?
Mm-hmm. I think, a lot of it is very specific to the family and to what part of the country you actually live in right now. So my mom was in Toronto, in Ontario. There's 2 sort of streams that you can go, private or public. Is your mother-in-law in a public or a private facility?
Private facility in Saskatchewan.
Yeah. Okay. That's easy. Getting into a private place is really easy. My mom
Oh,
did
okay.
not have, right? Easy in the sense that there's a lot of availability. If you want to pay that price point and you can afford to do that, that's wonderful. Now, conversely, some people don't want to go into private because they're not regulated. So, depending on sort of where you're at and what your needs are, or what your family members' needs are, what you're going to look at and what you're going to consider, there's a lot of different elements that go into that. There were times when my mom needed to be in and out of hospital. In my opinion, she was not getting the care that she needed. The right from the very beginning, with the power of attorney sort of situation, depending on your financial institution, how that is set up and how they manage that for you. For me personally, it was incredibly challenging, and it still is to this day. They're changing the rules and regs around power of attorneys all the time. And people don't know that it's not just a power of attorney that you need, but you need to have some sort of a joint account to really be able to sort of manage those finances. Especially for me, I was living in Barbados at the time, and my mom was in Toronto, and it was incredibly difficult to have some consistency and continuity with that financial institution. Then my mom had, finding in-home care for her. What did that look like? She only qualified for a certain amount of time. And the people evaluating my mom and her level of dementia, they let her make the decisions. I'm like, she has dementia. She's not necessarily seeing the situation for what it truly is. And 3 hours out of the day, a different person every single time is not going to keep her calm or safe or adaptable to this experience, because constant change is exactly what feeds the anxiety around the dementia. And so we went private. How I found that person, how I managed that person, she was incredible. But I think that if you're going through sort of the public system, it is incredibly challenging. And then when she was unable to walk any longer, I had moved back to Toronto to take care of her because I could see the decline. How the hospital dealt with her was appalling, quite frankly. The minute she got in there, they wanted to send her home. She couldn't walk. Her care had gotten to a level where it was increasingly difficult for her to be at home at any point in time by herself. And so I hired a lawyer who's an advocate for seniors nationally. And I learned a lot about sort of what our rights are as Canadians and humans in the healthcare system and how to navigate that experience. I was very fortunate. The CEO at the hospital that my mom was in was exceptional. I still talk to them on a very regular basis about how, the care is given to these seniors. But I can tell you, I met a lot of people in the 4 or 5 months that my mom was in the hospital, children like me taking care of their parents. And people were being moved to different hospitals without even notifying the family. The filth that the hospitals sort of operate in, the dirty diapers and the garbage cans, and all of this sort of systemic sort of let's just, do the bare minimum. To me, quite frankly, as a Canadian, I think we're a lot better as a country than that. Than taking care of our parents. And so that is essentially the journey that got me to this.
Okay, so what is this then? What is this new version? Sound like there was some pain, some discomfort, and almost all entrepreneurs start with, I had a problem, I ran into some challenges, I found a solution. So what is the solution, and what do you bring to the table now in your fourth entrepreneurial journey?
Well, we're starting really small because it's really hard to get a read on what the market wants or the market needs in this space. And so we are, starting as a pure sort of consultancy. I have, as I said to you earlier, we have a team of practitioners. We have nurses, we have lawyers, we have accountants, we have bankers. We have sort of a team, a network of people that we can draw on their expertise and their knowledge to then communicate back to the people that are coming to us for their services. I don't really know quite yet because we're so new how this is going to grow and scale. I'm really driven by purpose in this venture and really sort of helping people. And so we will see how this goes. But my phone is ringing off the hook with people across this country to help them and support them. And so at this stage, I have two other companies, but this one is really driven by purpose, and I really want to sort of help these families as much as we possibly can.
Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So when you look back over your years in business as an entrepreneur, what was
Yes.
the biggest challenge you had to face, whether it was year one or yesterday? What was the biggest challenge you faced, and what does it look like today?
That's a really good question. I think failure is always a massive challenge. I think that, you kind of go in, you dig deep, you raise the fund, you attract the people, you get the customers, and it doesn't always work out. I mean, I think the biggest challenge for me in my career is always being able to sort of really deeply assess the situation of whatever stage of the company that I was building or where I was at, to really be able to pivot and move with the market or just fold it all together. And I've had some of those experiences too. I'm just like, this not only is this not working for me, I don't think it has a scalability. And so it's really recognizing, like, failure is a really good thing, right? So every time I failed, I would learn so much about myself, how I react to situations. I've always had an incredible team and coach who works with me. And so, I'm massively into personal growth, and failure will most definitely teach you some things and give you an opportunity for some enormous personal growth.
It's funny you say that, because so many entrepreneurs, so many of my clients enter that space and they want to be perfect all the time. That we have this, I think we look at the world, so often with rose-colored glasses. We read the books, we read the motivational books, and we look at the success after the fact, right? It's that cliche of overnight success that was 10 years in the making or 20 years in the making. And I
Yes.
think what we also forget is we don't look at the number of attempts, whether it be a hockey player who takes 10 shots on goal and scores a goal, whether it be I think it was Jordan said he's missed 9,000 shots, 24 times he missed a shot with the game on the line. I think those are the ones that we
Exactly.
forget in our own journey to look at and go, what do we learn from that failure? My favorite one is baseball. I mean, a great baseball player misses 7 times out of 10 at the
Right.
plate.
Right.
Pretty staggering. But as entrepreneurs, we want it to be perfect all the time from day one, full stop. And so thank you for reiterating that. Now, if you look back over your years, if there was one thing you would tell young Lori, that maybe something you've learned in the last 5 years or in the last 8 years, you go back to young Lori and say, get this thing figured out sooner. What is that one lesson that you would want to impart on yourself on day one of your journey that we'd like to get all entrepreneurs to figure out sooner than later?
Listen to yourself. Do not listen to anybody outside yourself. And don't, criticism is going to come. Criticism is going to come in so many different ways and different forms, especially now. I mean, gosh, when I was, I'm 57, when I was 27, when I started, there was no social media. So, the constant critique or haters or all these things that you have to deal with, it's difficult. I understand. I've been there myself. I had the FBI call me once, but it's like, do not listen to what anybody has to say. Believe in yourself and just go for it.
Just go for it. Love it. I think there's a saying in my office that I like is get dirty, do
Oh
something,
yeah.
get feedback. Absolutely. So what does success look like for you now? It sounds like you've been to the mountaintop a few times,
Yep.
accomplished many things as an entrepreneur. What is that next definition of success for you?
At 57, I feel like I'm just sort of figuring it out, quite frankly. My boys are raised, they're graduated, they're on their way. I don't have those sort of responsibilities or things to balance. And obviously, as an entrepreneur and as a mother, there's trade-offs that come with that. And so I am more excited than ever for my career right now. I'm very, very passionate about entrepreneurialism. Now that I'm back living in Canada, I think it's something that we needed to talk about a lot more, particularly when you look at our, monthly job numbers, et cetera, and the increase of, government jobs in this country. We won't go into this today, but I really am a firm believer in capitalism and entrepreneurialism. And I think that we need to talk a lot more about that, the pros, the cons, and the whys, and how it impacts our economy more than we ever have before. So I plan on being very vocal about that in this next phase of my career for sure.
Love it. Sounds like you're running for office. Running for office anytime soon?
I've been asked, you never know.
Never know what's around the corner, eh? Well, good for you.
Never
Keep up
say
the good
never.
work. Right? Thank you for sharing your passion and your wisdom and experience. There's a lot of entrepreneurs out there looking to start their journey. Some hesitant, some strong. But at the end of the day, I think supporting them as any way possible is really, I think, at least for me, my calling, it sounds like near and dear to your heart as well.
Absolutely. And I think, the freedom that comes with that is something that we should really be promoting. And yeah, so if anybody would like to talk about that, please do not hesitate to call me.
Excellent. Well, let's do that. So the shameless self plug for people who want to learn more about your program Rose, company Rose, helping and advocating for seniors. Where can they find you? Where can they get more information?
Well, the number one, I've pulled most of my sites down right now because we're in a massive rebranding. So the quickest way to get a hold of me is on LinkedIn, or call me or email me at lori@lori-mcintosh.com. I do have a website there. There is a contact there. But I do love to talk to people, and I like to talk to people in person. So I'd love, and I'd welcome any opportunity for anyone who would like to connect in person as well.
Cool. Love it. Love it. Keep smiling, keep having fun, and good luck with the rest of your journey.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. Bye for now.
Bye.